Hey guys. So I just wanted to do a random rant here. That's one that I've been wanting to do for a while. And sorry, I realized the live button just clicked on a minute after I started talking. I don't know if you got the beginning there. Anyway, if not, hi guys. If so, sorry for repeating myself. Anyway, I've been wanting to do a stream for a while about immigration control and immigration control advocates, but I thought, well, I want to do a bunch of research. I want to find a bunch of articles. I want to go through a bunch of stuff. And problem is with me, I get so busy. If I have to put too much prep work into it, it's just not going to happen. I get too busy with stuff, especially lately after the storm. Not going to go into that right now. But I just posted, let's see, I guess I posted something last night on Facebook, had a friend respond who agrees with me on a lot of political stuff. And then I posted something this morning on Facebook, same friend responded. And interestingly enough, he essentially contradicted himself with his arguments. And so I just kind of, it was frustrating me. We couldn't actually talk because he's actually leaving. So it was frustrating me thinking about it. And I thought, I'm going to do a quick stream and just talk about it. Talk about some of the illogical arguments that are being used, which is very frustrating. My first post was, I said, I'm not sick of political posts. I'm sick of everyone promoting statism, because right now there's so many political posts out there. And a lot of people are saying that, oh, I'm just sick of all these political posts. And I said, no, I don't care if you want to post about politics. That's fine. It annoys me when people are promoting statism, power to the state, because there are several amendments on the ballot in Florida that are rather annoying. Anyway, so my friend who is not from Florida, he just posted on there, hashtag taxation is theft. And I laughed and I said, yeah. And I told him that I had been arguing that very point, taxation is theft, with another friend earlier, and some of the crazy arguments they were using. And we were just kind of laughing about it because we do agree. And I know some people would say taxation is not theft. My position is, if you're taking something from someone by force without their permission, when they have not committed a crime, they have earned this money, they have purchased this item, they have built this house, whatever it is, it's something that they own. You come in and you take it from them by force without their permission. That's theft. So anyway, this stream is not about that. This is because this friend of mine absolutely agrees with me. He's actually somewhat of an anarchist. And he says, yeah, you can't take people's things without their permission. It's principle of private property. It belongs to them. So then I posted, and this one I can share because I also posted it on Facebook, if I can. Yeah, I'm sorry, I've posted it on Twitter, and my Twitter is public. My Facebook is not, for reasons I'm sure everybody will understand. Anyway, I posted this. Republicans, communism is evil, socialism is evil, people fleeing socialism. How can we come there and join you in capitalism? Republicans, no, this is our capitalism and it'll fall apart if we let you come here. Go back to your socialism. Anyway, it's kind of a joke, to be honest. It's more, what is that? But it's just more pointing out the inconsistencies in the Republican dialogue so often. This same friend then posted, and I should have brought that up actually, so I can give you exactly what he said. I will bring it up. Responding to that, because I know he's a closed border advocate. I'm not. And I'm sorry, I should have had it here. I closed it because I didn't want to be displaying it on screen, but that wasn't very bright, given that I wanted to actually okay, yes, his response, because we have had this conversation before, he says, capitalism implies private property. Homeowners associations is similar to immigration territorial restrictions. We need immigration restrictions for our societal well-being, just like homeowners associations keep out undesirables for their well-being. And I responded, and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm about to leave. I can't respond later. Let's talk about it later. So the discussion with him is not over. The issue I have is this. If you believe taxation is theft because no one has the right to take your property, how is it that you believe that others can still tell you what to do with your property? It's like, oh, we're not going to take it, but we are going to tell you what you can do with it. You can't do this. You can't do this. You must do that. It's still yours, but this is what you can and can't do with it. You have a rental property? Well, you can't rent to blacks. You have a business doing bookkeeping? Well, you can't do bookkeeping for Jews. You have a whatever else. You bake cakes? That's fine. You have to bake cakes for gays. It's if you have the power over someone else to tell them what they can and cannot do with their labor, with their private property, with their business, with their own time. Oh, blacks and whites are not allowed to get married. It's like, oh, you can marry anybody you want as long as you don't marry somebody of this race. Whether if you're black, you can't marry a white person. If you're white, you can't marry a black person. You can marry anybody else, but you can't do this. If you're putting restrictions on people, you don't believe in freedom. And if you're putting restrictions on how people use their property, you don't believe in private property. Or again, to some degree, if you're restricting it, you're saying you can't use it to hurt people, that's understandable. But if you're saying you can't use it in a way that's not going to hurt people, that's unacceptable. And by the way, I'm going to go off on a slight tangent here. Sorry. Some people would say, oh, but unrestricted immigration hurts people economically because it allows people, and it lowers it doesn't lower the minimum wage, but it lowers the general wage because it increases the supply of unskilled labor or skilled labor, depending. It basically increases the labor supply without increasing the job market. Therefore, wages overall go down. So it does hurt people economically. Okay, I grant you that. But then if I have a business, and people who have watched me for a significant length of time know that I'm a bookkeeper. I have a business that offers bookkeeping. If somebody else opens a bookkeeping business in this area, that hurts me, right? It will drive down my profits because now I have competition. So should I be able to pass a law that says no one else can run a bookkeeping company in this town or in this state or in this country, right? We have laws actually against that. It's called monopoly, laws against monopoly. That's not what it's called. It's called, I think, antitrust. I don't know what they're called. But anyway, if you say, oh, well, if it hurts someone economically, it can be banned. Okay, where's the line? Do we ban competition? Because that's what you're doing. You're saying we don't want other people competing for our jobs. Okay, well, how about we live in a neighborhood that is predominantly Mexican? And you have that in Texas or something like that, Mexican American, we'll say, but people of Mexican descent. And they realize white people are coming in and stealing jobs from Mexicans. Is it okay for them to pass a law that says businesses are not allowed to hire white people? Is that okay? Some people would say yes, but hopefully most people watching me are going to say no. My problem, again, is if you restrict what I'm allowed to do with my property, if you restrict who I'm allowed to hire, if you restrict who I'm allowed to do business with, unless you're saying, okay, this person is a criminal and therefore you can't do that. And even that, that would be a discussion for another time, but who the state calls a criminal, I would not always call a criminal. If someone's a felon because, oh, they had marijuana on them and they had more than a certain amount, so now they're a felon. I should still be allowed to hire that person once they get out of jail. It shouldn't be, oh, you can't hire somebody who's a convicted felon. Okay, going to go off on another tangent. I do this a lot. In my state, in Florida, we just had the hurricane hit. And if you do construction work without a state-issued license during a time of emergency, that's a felony. So people who want to come in here and help people repair their houses, if they do not have permission from the government to do it, they can be charged with a felony. They're not hurting anybody. Some are, yeah. Some of them are crooks, like snake oil salesmen, whatever. There are definitely people out there who don't know what they're doing, who do a bad job, and they do hurt people. But there are other people who do know what they're doing, who are not going to do a bad job, who are just going to help people, and that they can be thrown in jail on a felony charge. So again, even if you say, oh, well, not criminals. Okay, who defines what a criminal is? Anyway, going back to the point I was making, and the point he makes here. He says, oh, we should have border control. We shouldn't let some people in and not let other people in. And it's the same as a homeowners association. Okay, well, here's the first problem. I don't like homeowners associations. When I bought my first house, I told the realtor, I said, okay, here are the things I would like, here are the things I need, and here are the non-negotiables. And one of the non-negotiables is it cannot be in an HOA. I will not live in a homeowners association. I have done bookkeeping for homeowners associations. They can literally take your house if you do not pay your dues. You have dues of $100 a year that you have to pay to the HOA. And if you do not pay that $100 a year, they can take your house, okay? If you live in an HOA, you don't own your house. The HOA owns your house. They can tell you what to do with it. They can tell you what not to do with it. They can tell you how to, again, depending on the HOA. Some are very lenient. Some are very strict. It's ridiculous. But I'm just like, no, no, I do not. I want a house that I own. Granted, in America, I don't own it because the government owns it, and they charge me rent in the form of property taxes, and if I refuse to pay, they'll take it. But I don't want to also have an HOA. I don't want my neighbors to own my house. I want to own my house. So that was a non-negotiable for me. When I bought my house, I found out after living here for several months that it is actually in an HOA, but it's a voluntary HOA. You can choose to be a part of it or not. They do have annual dues, but you can choose to pay them or not. It's just if you participate in any of the activities or use the whatever. I don't think they have facilities. I don't know. But anyway, basically, you're encouraged to pay your dues, but you don't have to. And I thought, okay, that's ideal. It's voluntary. Even an HOA is not going to say you cannot sell your house to men. Only women are allowed to live in this HOA. You bought a house in here and you're renting it out. You cannot rent to anyone who's a college student. Not even an HOA can tell you who you can and cannot have in your house, who you can and cannot rent to. Some of the very strict ones may say you can't make a lot of noise, or you can't have noise above a certain level or something. I've seen one where you can't park on the streets, and even people coming over, they can't park on the road, even if there's space. It doesn't matter. So, I mean, they do have some crazy laws, but you can't say you can't sell your house to this person. Now, some of them do have homeowners approval where if you want to sell your house, the HOA has to approve the buyer, but they certainly aren't going to have laws written into the HOA covenants and restrictions saying you can't sell to Hispanics. You can't sell to Asians. So why is it that you're saying here, I cannot do business with someone who is not an American citizen without permission from my neighbors? That's not the way HOAs work. And if they did, I think people would stop calling them HOAs and start calling them communes. That's what it is. Immigration control. When you say you as a business owner cannot hire anyone with it who's not an American citizen without special permission from the government. That's not the equivalent of an HOA. If people say, well, you cannot have people in your house who are not American citizens without special permission from the government, that's not the equivalent of an HOA. That's a restriction on my private property. I hire people. I have a business that actually hires employees. And I have friends in Nicaragua. If you've seen some of my other streams, I've talked about the fact that I've been down there. One of my sisters lived down there for years. I have family members, I have in-laws from Nicaragua. And so I know people from down there. If one of the young people down there growing up in a third world country, horrible situation down there right now, especially if he finished high school, trying to go to college, wants to get a job, and if I say, hey, I have a house, I have an extra room, I will rent you a bedroom, you can work at my business for a little extra money, and you can go to college here. We'll find you some scholarships or student loan or something. I would not support a student loan, or I'll help you out, something like that. I should be able to do that. It's my property. If I want him on my property, I should be able to do that. If I want to hire him for my business, I should be able to do that. If I have a house that I'm renting out and I want to rent it to a family from Nicaragua, I should be able to do that. It's my house. It's my decision. And these people are saying, no, it's not yours. We get to decide as a community. And I'm like, so you're a communist? No, I'm an anarchist. Well, then why are you promoting communism? That's what you're doing. Okay, I said I was not going to get as worked up as Mark does, but sorry. For those who don't know, I posted this on Discord and I said, it's just going to be a random rant and I'm not going to get as excited as Mark does, but I take it back. I don't know how excited he got. I do. I watched his video. Sorry, I'm trying to calm down. I don't like getting too excited. Anyway, it's so frustrating to me, the lack of logic that people see. Then when on the one hand, I mean, you'll say taxation is theft and then immediately turn around and say, but you don't have private property rights. And I'm like, or saying, no, it's an extension of private property. We have borders because we don't want these people. And I'm like, who's we? I'm not in that we. I wouldn't be happy to have these people come in as long as they're law abiding, as long as they're, renting or property or buying property, as long as they're working, whatever. If they're not breaking the laws in the land, and they're like, oh, they are breaking laws. They're traveling. Since when is traveling a crime? Since the government decided who can go where. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. Okay? The government should not restrict the travel of anyone who is not a violent criminal. Even the violent criminals, you shouldn't be able to restrict the travel of them in every case. It just depends. I mean, if they are, obviously, if they're a criminal that has been convicted or is waiting for sentencing or something where they haven't been granted bail for some reason, then yeah, you restrict the travel. They're not allowed to leave the jailhouse. That's fine. But if they're outside of that, if they're just moving to and fro, they should be able to go wherever they want. The government should not determine where you can and cannot go. And that applies to people who aren't citizens. I don't care if you're from here, if you're from another country. The civil government does not have the right to decide who goes where. Other than you can say if the civil government owns land, which I don't believe the government should own land, but assume that they do, yes, they can decide you can't come on our land. That's fine. They cannot tell me you may not let these people on your land. That's a restriction of my private property rights. And people are like, well, your neighbors might not want it. Well, tough. I lived next to somebody when I was a college student. I had an internship and I took a semester off college, had an internship, and I moved to this very quiet neighborhood. And they said, we don't like college students here. And I'm like, well, I'm a very quiet person. I don't throw parties like ever. I have since then, but my parties are very, very calm. Not the type of parties you think of when you think of college students. But I'm like, I don't go out drinking. I don't make a lot of noise. So I said, I don't think you'll even notice I'm here. And yeah, it was very annoying though that they're just like, oh, we don't want college students here. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but that's still the prerogative of the homeowner. You can say we don't want noise here that is disturbing the peace. We don't want cars zipping through here at high speeds that could kill kids if they wander out the streets. Which don't let your kids wander in the streets. But at the same time, I've been around enough kids. Not all kids obey. Anyway. Get back on topic. See, this is one reason I don't like going off on tangents. I lose my train of thought. Okay. Yes. My neighbors should not be able to tell me who I can and cannot have in my house. Okay. My neighbors should not be able to tell me who I can and cannot hire in my business. My neighbors should not be able to tell me who I may and may not engage in business with. If I want to hire somebody to clean my house, why is it that the civil government says you can only hire people we approve? Like the people doing contracting, you have to get a state license. If we do not give them permission to do business, you may not pay them to do work for you. Immigration control is the same thing. Now, totally separate issue that comes up that people clump together with it is, oh, but immigrants are going to vote Democrat. Immigrants are going to put a drain on the welfare system. Immigrants are going to, do whatever else. And this is a problem. The left and the right, interestingly enough, Democrats seem to want immigrants because they're thinking, oh, they're going to vote for us and they want to help them. So saying, oh yeah, they should have welfare and public school access and all of that. And the problem Democrats don't seem to understand is there's a difference between an immigrant and a citizen. An immigrant can't vote. An immigrant can't get an immigrant who's not a citizen. A resident who's not a citizen can't vote, can't get welfare, can't use the public school system. The problem conservatives have when it comes to this issue is they don't understand the difference between an immigrant and a citizen. Immigrants can't vote. Immigrants can't get welfare. Immigrants can't have access to the public school system. Okay? If you're not a citizen, you don't have these rights. Just because you're here doesn't give you these rights. I talk about one sporting event that I love to watch every year, the Dota 2 International. And up to, well, yeah, the first year, I think it was in Germany or somewhere. I don't remember where it was. Every year since then, up through this year, it's always been in the USA, in Washington State. You have people from all over the world, teams from all over the world coming to compete in this event. Do all of those people, when they go up to Washington, get to vote in the Washington elections? No. How about welfare? No. How about the public school system? No. Just because they're here doesn't mean they have access to all of the benefits of citizens. Being here does not make you a citizen. Immigration control from the argument that, oh, well, all these people are going to vote for. No, they're not. They're not citizens. They're coming here maybe to live, maybe to work, maybe to spend time with friends, maybe to get an education, for whatever reason. That's fine. They're not citizens. So the argument of, oh, well, we don't want them influencing our culture, yeah, that's a possibility. But foreign music influences our culture. Foreign films influence our culture. Do you want to put a ban on all of that and say nobody is allowed to import foreign music? Nobody's allowed to import foreign movies. Nobody's allowed to import foreign culture. So let's be like China and put a wall around the American internet or the UK internet or the European internet or whatever. I mean, I know that some of them are already trying to do something similar. So anyway, you get what I'm saying. So it is really two separate issues. There's the issue of private property. I should be allowed to have anyone I want on my property, anyone I want on my property, and no one should be able to tell me you're not allowed to have these people on your property. I should be allowed to hire anyone I want in my business. Nobody should be able to tell me, oh, you can't hire that person. And yeah, with regard to benefits, to be honest, the benefits argument is a bad example with me anyway, because I don't believe we should have welfare. I don't believe, excuse me. Sorry. I don't believe we should have welfare. I don't believe we should have the public school system. I don't believe we should have any of these social programs. So I'm going to call them what they are, socialist programs. Frustrates me to no end that the Republicans now are huge champions of the public school system when it was implemented as a socialist program, Republicans were the ones standing against it, saying this is horrible and, oh, we need to get rid of it. And now they're the strongest supporters of it. Same with Social Security. It's a socialist program. It's a Ponzi scheme. And yet Republicans are all like, yes, we need Social Security. It's a wonderful thing. And anyway, gets me very frustrated. So anyway, there we go. That's my rant. So I'm not very good at multitasking when I'm talking to people. I'm very good at multitasking at work, but when I'm actually having a stream, I'm not. So I'm going to pull up the chat now. So if I go quiet, that's oh, hi Denny, not Denny. Okay. Says yeah. So Mother Teresa. The real Mother Teresa, I disagree with her on a lot of issues, but she was just such a sweet, kind person. From what I could tell, I wouldn't argue with her. I would just, quietly disagree, hopefully. He says, tax... Sorry. Yeah, taxation is not theft, but I'm sorry, but... Oh, it is theft, but tax is necessary for societies to function. Riots in the street don't make for great market environment. That's again a discussion for another time. I'm not avoiding the issue, but if I get into that, it's going to be a very long conversation there. And he says, yeah, it's, oh, and Kave responds, Kave, maybe you can tell me, Kave, is it Kave or cave? Because I know a similar name, but with a B instead of a V, and it's a Hispanic name. It's pronounced Kave. So that's what I keep thinking when I see your name. Anyway. Yes, its taxes are necessary for the state, not society. And yeah, basically. Oh, yeah, pronounced like cave. Sorry. It looks like Kabe, which is, anyway. Yeah. Oh, national communism. Yes. Oh. Okay. Yeah. William Bruce says, not to mention the 100-mile no constitution border zone. I'm not sure what you mean there. Unless you're talking about the fact that immigration control has been stopping people well inside the borders, saying papers, please, essentially. Oh, Japanese tourists have been ruining this country since the 70s. I think anime has been doing that without the need for tourists. And I'm somebody who does watch anime. I don't know. There's good anime and there's bad anime, and yeah. Anyway, that's also a stream for another time. Yeah, immigrants can get welfare in my state. You don't need to be a citizen. Okay. I would be interested to see how that works because, yeah, well, I guess it would depend on which state you're in. I know some of the states are seriously messed up. So, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Say. Okay, William Bruce. Yeah, I'm not going to read that next comment. Or not going to read it live. Yeah. Anyway, do you believe in birthright citizenship? Citizenship itself is a very complicated issue in my mind because because of the way the state is, in at least the state in America, there are so many issues, so many problems. The idea that, okay, now that I'm a citizen, I have a right to your wealth. Well, I don't believe you have a right to my wealth. I don't believe you have a right to my property. So to say, oh, should we let these people be citizens? It's kind of like saying, should these people have all of these rights that I don't believe anybody should have? It's a difficult issue. If citizen did not mean what it means today, then yeah, I'd say, oh yeah, sure. Anybody, I'd say there was an older concept. I can't remember. Sorry, can't remember who was talking about it, who said it, but I think it may have been in America or somewhere, I don't remember. But they said that essentially if anybody could move here, or I'm going to say it was America. I don't know. It could have been some other country. It was somebody talking about immigration though. And I'll just pretend it was America. Anybody could move here that they wanted to. And as long as they were a productive member of society, they could stay, they could do whatever. And if they showed themselves to be a productive member of society for 5 years, I think it was, so whether owning or renting property, working a job, supporting themselves, taking care of their family if they had family here, if they were a productive member of society for 5 years, they were automatically a citizen. And I thought, that's cool. That's great. Again, in saying, oh, should people be given citizenship for this and for that? It's a complicated issue because, like I said, I feel like citizenship in the US gives people far too many rights over their fellow citizens. And I have a problem with that. So if citizenship was what it should be, sure, I have no problem with that. But anyway, yeah, my brother has a green card. Is he a citizen? I don't think so. No, I don't believe a green card gives you the right to vote or the right there are a lot of rights you don't have, if I recall correctly. My memory is horrible, which is one reason I argue principles rather than policies. It's easy for me to argue principles because they don't change. Policies do, and I'm trying to remember what means what. It's too difficult for me. Oh boy. And that's not an excuse. My grandmother works with hospice patients, and she's told me that I have the memory of an early onset Alzheimer's patient. I can't remember my own nieces and nephews' names sometimes. I can't remember my neighbors' names. It's terrible. Anyway, I really do have a memory problem. It's not that I'm making excuses. Anyway, it says PA, I'm an immigrant, by the way, so I want some immigration, but not uncontrolled. I went through the process legally. I want that ability for others. I'm also a naturalized citizen. Yeah, see, I don't know how that works either. But again, and I know that a big proponent of immigration control are legal immigrants. But just because you had to work harder to get it doesn't mean everybody else should. It's, again, goes back to somewhat the licensing for businesses. There was, what is it? I think to be a public accountant or a certified public accountant, a CPA, you have to go through all of these hoops. It's horrible, all the stuff you have to go through. If they were to abolish that and say, you know what, anybody who's had basic training and say can pass this one test, you can be a CPA. All the CPAs would be furious because they had to work so hard, put so much time, so much effort, so much money into it. And it is time. I mean, you literally have to work for another CPA for an entire year before you can even apply. And then you have to take all these tests and pay all this money. And you have to actually pass all of them within the certain period of time. And if you don't pass them within this period of time, then you have to start the whole process over again. I mean, it is really ridiculous because I'm a bookkeeper. I have a mathematical degree way beyond that of a CPA even. And I thought about, getting my CPA because people are like, well, you should just do that. You're already overqualified for what you do. You can just be, certified in your qualifications. And I thought, oh, okay, let me look at it. And I looked at it. I'm like, forget that. No, I'm not going through all of that. No, I'll be a lowly bookkeeper. People think I'm just a little nobody. And I'm like, when I have people ask, well, what are your qualifications? I say, well, you want to know what my degree really is? Do you want to know what my work background really is? I have learning and experience beyond your CPA. But I don't say that. I shouldn't say that. I have said it on occasion to people who just kind of look down on me because, oh, you're just a bookkeeper. I'm like, anyway, I'm sorry, going off on a tangent again. All that to say, people who have to work super hard to get these licenses and everything, they don't want the licenses to go away because they had to work so hard to get it. Everybody else should also have to work that hard to get it. And I say, no, you should not have had to work that hard to get it. Nobody should have to work that hard. Now, yes, I can understand having standards for like especially in the financial field. But again, that's a conversation for another time. So, yeah, it's too easy to get citizenships. I don't agree with you there. The time when citizen didn't just mean permanent resident. Yeah, I don't know that citizen. Well, I don't know. Actually, it probably did earlier in America. I mean, citizenship. Well, not immigration control was introduced by the unions because they didn't like the unskilled labor coming over here from China and whatnot and stealing all the jobs because they were harder workers. They did a better job and they were willing to work for less. So all of these Americans are like, well, we don't want to have to work harder and we don't want to get less money. We don't want to have to live on a budget. See, I have very little sympathy for people who are just like, oh, I can't live on less money. I'm like, yeah, you can. You really can. Trust me. You just don't want to. It's hard work. Anyway, I mean, I have a lot of siblings. My dad was making minimum wage with a stay-at-home wife. My mom did not work, and 5 kids. Debt-free. We lived within our means. We did not have much, but we were happy. We were well fed. We had clothes. I mean, they weren't very nice clothes, but we had clothes. The food was pretty cheap. I remember a special meal was when mom would make ramen and actually put chicken and canned corn in with it. That was a special meal. Some of you have no idea what that means, but anyway, we made it. We were fine. Yeah, we didn't have all of the fancy stuff that other people have, but we were fine. You can live on very, very little. It's just Americans are so spoiled they don't want to. I mean, we have an obesity epidemic in this country, and people are complaining that, oh, people will starve to death if we don't make as much money. I'm like, they're already dying from too much food. Okay, going off on, coming back again. Real rights are negative. Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to remember what that means. I think I agree with that statement. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not an ANCAP. Yeah, Sergeant Sniper is like, I love you, but ANCAPs be crazy. I'm not an ANCAP. I'm really not. I know I sound like it on a lot of issues. People have thought people have thought a lot of things about me. We won't get into all that. I could tell you stories. Oh boy, it's not as easy to get citizenship as widely thought, but it's not impossible. I think it was close to an appropriate level of difficulty. I've heard stories that I think are just disgusting. So but I don't know all of the details. Yeah, I agree. Okay, William Bruce, immigration should be as simple as tourism. Citizenship should be more onerous. Or I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I agree. I do know what that word means. I just don't know how to pronounce it. East Asian savings rate. I don't get that. Oh, yeah. What does he say? Any order of magnitude higher than, yeah, okay. Oh, negative rights don't require someone else to do something for you. Yeah, I would agree with that too. I still feel like there's more to it than that. I have to think about it, but yes. Yeah. Oh. Yes. You don't have to be an anarcho-capitalist, whatever. Yeah, an ANCAP to think taxation is theft. A lot of people will think that. It's, again, I believe that if you take something from someone else by force, where it's not something they owed, then that's theft. See, as far as I understand, though, ANCAP implies anarchy, which means no systemized government, no laws. I could be wrong, but from what I understand, there are no laws. There are principles like the non-aggression principle, something like that, but there are not actual laws. And I do believe there should be actual laws like theft. I think that if someone steals something, they should have to make restitution. They should have to pay back double or quadruple, depending on what it is they stole, and depending on the circumstances. I do have it outlined, but it's not going to get into it all in detail. So I'm not an anarchist. I do believe in laws. Okay. Don't get me started on jury duty. Okay. Anyway. Okay. I don't know how long I've been going, but that's what I wanted to say. It frustrates me to no end. And I know I could go deeper into it. I could, like I say, study up on it and get more stories up here, actually read the immigration information and everything. in the US. I know it's seriously messed up. Like, as I understand it, the ultimate authority lies in the executive branch. They can decide, yes, these people can come in, no, these people can't come in, and they can just decide that at random. There are no laws stating how it has to be decided. They can just decide it. So when Obama wanted to just mass pardon all these illegals and just wave his hand and say, "Oh, you're all legal now," he had the right to do that. As I understand it, he had the right to do that. The executive branch can just decide it as they will. They don't have to. There are guidelines, but there are no rules. They can just pick and choose who they want to let in and who they don't want to let in. You know. So anyway, that frustrated me when people are all upset at Obama saying, "Oh, it's unconstitutional." It's like, immigration control is not in the Constitution. Immigration control is not in the Constitution. If anything, it's covered by the 10th Amendment that says anything not outlined here belongs to the states or to the citizens. I don't think it should even be to the states. I think it should be to the citizens. An HOA does not have the right to tell you who you can and cannot let on your property. And border control is not an extension of private property. It is a restriction on private property. It's saying, oh, that's your property, but we're going to tell you what to do with it. Okay, I'll calm down again. Like I said, I really don't like getting upset. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Feel free to comment. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I just saw the last comment come in, and I'm like, I don't understand what. I don't know if that was addressed to me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Feel free to comment. I know most YouTubers will say, "Oh, I read all your comments," and I'm going to say, "I read all your comments." Doesn't mean I'm going to respond to them. If I don't respond, part of that is just because I'm a very shy person. It's hard for me to interact with people. It's easy for me to talk. It's hard for me to interact. So if you comment and I don't respond, understand it. I could just be having a bad day where I'm just like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I read your comments. I'll think about them, but I may not. Yeah, if I don't respond, don't take it personally. Anyway, thanks, guys. Hope you have a great day.